Thank you, Gene. So like Gene said, I'll now introduce Brent Pattison, Keeping Recognition Simple. Keeping Recognition Simple, Brent Pattison.
A gardener once said, ignore your plants and you'll grow nothing but weeds. In many ways, running a successful business is a lot like tending a garden because it needs to mirror the careful attention and nurturing that your garden requires. Now, I studied business in university. I've been in senior leadership roles for almost 30 years. I've attended dozens of seminars on business and leadership. I've read at least 100 books on the subject. And in my free time, I like to dedicate a good chunk of that time to continuous learning about leadership and business, whether it's through YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn, or attending things like Toastmasters. If there's one thing, though, that I've learned about the art of business leadership, if I was to distill it down to one thing, it's this simple formula. Happy people equals a better product, which equals better profits. The reality is this applies to all of those key stakeholders in your business, your employees, your people in your business, the customers who buy your product, and the owners of the business, even if that owner is you, that rely on the profits of the business. And the way to think about those stakeholders are kind of like they're your plants of your business. And just like a gardener that has to take care of your plants, those key stakeholders, your people, your customers, and the owners of the business, well, they require careful care and attention. First off, not keeping your people happy can be a way to starve your business of its growth. The cost of losing an employee, well, it can cost you anywhere from 3 months to 2 years of that person's salary. Now, no two businesses are the same. So obviously the costs of replacing an employee are not going to be the same for business to business. The reality is, though, if you're not managing your business and keeping your people happy, they will leave. And the costs of replacing a lost employee can be detrimental to the health of your business. In one of the last companies I worked at, it was a fairly large company. We had 35,000 employees. One of my last projects with the company was to help reduce their turnover by 10% year over year. Why? Because just reducing their employee turnover by 10% was going to generate over $10 million in savings from reducing the costs of hiring new employees and having to train their replacements. Not taking care of your people and ensuring they're happy can starve your business of its success. Similarly, not keeping your customers and keeping them happy can be detrimental to the health of your business. The reality is it's far more expensive to try to attract and onboard new customers than to invest in keeping the ones that you have. Again, no two businesses are the same, but it can cost you anywhere from 5 to 15 times as much to acquire a new customer versus keeping the ones that you have. Keeping your customers happy is essential to the ongoing health and growth of your business. And the reality is, keeping your investors, if you've got multiple investors in a business, or even yourself happy, well, that's important too. They're people too, right? So they require the same care and attention that you would provide for your employees or your customers, but you also have to provide that same care and attention to the owners of your business as well. So how do you do this? How do you keep your customers and your employees and the owners of your business happy? Well, according to American philosopher William James, largely considered to be the father of American psychology, what he stated is that the deepest principle in human nature is the craving to be appreciated. The craving to be appreciated. A contemporary of Mr. James, Professor John Dewey, who stated the deepest urge in human nature is the desire to be important, craving to be appreciated, desire to be important. These aren't things that we just kind of like. No, these are needs that we need as people. And how we achieve that appreciation, how we create that importance, how we truly make people feel acknowledged and valued is through recognition. Good recognition creates that level of appreciation and importance for people, and it's so essential that we do so in our business as well. I've always felt that good recognition, the kind of recognition that creates that appreciation, that makes people feel important, is kind of like planting a seed. First off, it needs to be precise. It needs to be specific. Just like when planting a seed, you need to make sure that you place it in the optimal location for the right amount of sunlight for maximum growth. Well, when giving recognition, you want to be specific about it. You don't want to just say thank you or good job. Thank you for your business. Appreciate your loyalty. Those general platitudes that we receive every day, they kind of go in one ear and out the other. We hear them so often. It's kind of like white noise. Whereas if we can make our recognition specific, so the person who we're giving that recognition to actually knows what the heck we're talking about, it'll be that much more meaningful. Like imagine you own a coffee shop and one of your employees, Johnny, well, you've been working with him for the last couple of months on how to froth the milk for a cappuccino. And today you watch him froth this milk for one of the customers he's serving, and you realize he did a great job. He did it better than you're able to do it. Would it be better to just say at the end of the day, hey, Johnny, great job today? Or would it maybe make more sense to say, as soon as that customer's walking out of the store with a smile on their face, Johnny, you did a brilliant job making that cappuccino. The milk was frothed perfectly. You see, if we weren't specific, Johnny might not know what you were giving him recognition for. He may have thought that it was the way he wrote the customer's name on the side of the cup. We need to be specific. We need to be precise with our recognition in order to ensure that the person really knows what they're being recognized and acknowledged for. Secondly, we need to make it personal. Just like when we're tending to a plant, we need to put that seed in the right kind of soil for that plant. We need to feed it the right kind of food for it to grow. When we're giving recognition, if we can make the recognition personal, it can have such a more impactful, meaningful ability to create appreciation, to make that person feel important. One of my favorite leadership books of all time is How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. Now, the book was written in 1936, but all of the concepts in the book are just as relevant today as they were when he wrote the book. And in the book, Carnegie says, if you're going to get just one thing from reading this book, just one thing, it's that you should always think in terms of the other person's point of view. You need to see things from their angle. Well, that's important when you're giving recognition. You should know something about the person that you're giving recognition to in order for it to have the most impact. Like with Johnny, well, I've been working with him for the last couple of months, and I know he's interested in getting promoted. So when I give him recognition about that amazing cappuccino that he just made, not only should I tell him what about the cappuccino I liked, that he did a great job with the milk, but I should let him know that, and maybe say something like, hey, Johnny, fantastic job with that last customer's cappuccino. The milk was perfect, man. You keep doing that. Well, the reality is you did such a good job. I think you should be training people. You should be training the other employees how to do it. Keep doing it like that. I think that you're probably going to be the next person up for a promotion. Wouldn't that make the recognition a little bit more meaningful, a little more impactful, make Johnny feel more appreciated? Well, of course it would. Just like in my business, I had a lot of customers and I knew things about each and every one of them. I knew which ones liked golfing and which ones didn't. And if somebody was coming to one of my centers for a visit and I knew they loved to golf, then I'd probably try to plan a golf outing with them. But if I knew they didn't enjoy the game of golf, I wouldn't try to take them out for a day on the course. Just like if I knew they loved basketball, if the Raptors were playing, I'd try to get us a ticket to the game. But if they preferred hockey, I would definitely try to show some appreciation by taking them to a Leafs game. If we make our recognition personal, it will help us grow and deepen the connection that we have with that person and make our recognition more meaningful. And third, our recognition should be prompt. It needs to be timely. Just like when planting a seed, if you plant that seed too late in the season, it may not grow at all. When we're giving recognition to somebody, we want to make sure that it's done timely, so the person knows really what you're giving them recognition for. If I waited a week to tell Johnny about the cappuccino he made a week ago, he serves 40, 50 customers a day, maybe more. He's not going to remember which cappuccino for which customer was so amazing. The more timely we make our recognition, the more promptly we provide it, the more effective it'll be. Now, I will add one caveat here and say that late recognition is still, of course, better than no recognition at all. But I like when people wish me a happy birthday just as much as the next guy. But if you wish me a happy birthday 3 months after the fact, it's going to lose some of its luster. In my opinion, the most valuable tool that we have in our leadership toolkit is recognition. That you can't actually build a meaningful relationship. You can't strengthen the roots of the connections you have with other people without effective recognition. Whatever the business role that you find yourself in, ultimately, you'll want to keep a meticulously cultivated garden blossoming with recognition from beginning to end for your employees, for your customers, and the owners of the business, even if that owner is you. Self-recognition is a thing and just as valuable. If you want to keep your people happy, create an amazing product and keep your customers, and ultimately grow your profits, one of the keys to that is going to be through good recognition. Please strive to continually provide recognition that is precise, personal, and prompt. I hope that you keep your recognition simple but frequent, and watch as your connections grow and your success flourishes.